طيب إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا number 11. According to the Arabic, it's going to be hadith number 15. Hadith number 15. So it mentions عن ابن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنهما قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أحلت لنا ميتتان ودمان فأما الميتتان فالجراد والحوت وأما الدمان فالكبد والطحال أخرجه أحمد وابن ماجه وفيه ضعف. Now it mentions regarding this hadith that there is some weakness in it. There are some weakness in the hadith. Now, of the thing that's understood regarding the hadith marfu'an, then it is da'if. As for the hadith mawqufan, then it is sahih. And was mentioned, if the Sahabi says something or hillat, something is halal, even if it goes back to them, i.e. not back to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it has the ruling as if it goes back to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It has hukum al-rafa'. But the hadith being da'if min haythu al-rafa', in terms of it being attributed that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said it. No. What is authentic is that Ibn Umar said it. So it's sahih mawqufan, it goes back to Ibn Umar as one who said this. But the ruling is rafa'. Why? Because the Sahabi will not say something is halal unless they heard it from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So in this hadith it mentions that Allah's Messenger said 2 types of dead animals and 2 types of blood have been made lawful for us. As for the 2 types of dead animals, then they are locusts and fish. Like, you don't need to ask, is fish halal? Whether it's fried or grilled, fish is fish. Whether it's in the shop of a kafir or a Muslim, you don't have to ask, is fish halal? Because the dead of the fish, it doesn't need to be slaughtered. So, as-samak la tudbah. Fish itself is not to be slaughtered. It's halal. Now, also what affirms this is another hadith where it mentions the water tahuru ma'uhu wa hillu maytatuhu. The water of the ocean is pure and can be used as purification, and the deceased of the sea is also halal. The dead fish of the sea is halal. The types of dead animals is locusts and fish. And the 2 types of bloods that are lawful to eat is liver and spleen. Liver and spleen. Al-tihal. So at first, he mentioned أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ لَنَا مَيْتَتَانْ وَدَمَانْ. Mentioned 2 dead animals and 2 types of blood. ثُمَّ فَصَّلَ. Then gave clarity for what those are. Yani jarad wal hut, locusts and fish. You see locusts similar to grasshoppers. They are very similar, and the likes, those kind of things are the same. وَالدَّمَانِ al-kabid وَالتِّحَال, any liver, so like liver of the baqarah, chicken and sheep, these and camel, these things are things that are eaten and are lawful, are allowed to be eaten. As for because it's dam, it's blood. In reality, the spleen and the liver are blood. And of the things that is known is that blood, when we sacrifice an animal, the blood is let to run because it's najis. It's najis. The blood is najis. So as we mentioned, when it says أحلت لنا فإن الحكم الرفع لأن المحلل هو الله ورسوله. فإذا قال الصحابي أحلت لنا يعني أحل لنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So despite that it's mawquf, it goes back to Ibn Umar رضي الله عنهما. It has the ruling that is from the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم, because Allah and His Messenger, they are the ones who give us that which is lawful in the Sharia and that which is haram. So when the Sahabi says it was made lawful for us, i.e. the Messenger of Allah made lawful for us. I informed us that it's halal, it's lawful. If it's English, it's 11. Now what's mentioned, ميتتان ودمان. الميتة الأولى الجراد. It says هو معروف فالجراد بجميع أنواعه وأشكاله حلال حيا وميتا. That jarad, locust, and all of the things that are similar to it, i.e. from the same family of that type of insect, all of them are halal. i.e. if you found it dead, you can eat it. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be sacrificed. Whereas if you found, for example, a chicken dead, this is considered to be carrion. Al-Mayta is haram. Now, you're not allowed to eat it. Unlike locusts and fish. If you found a dead fish washed up on the sea, you could clean it and eat it, no problem. Cook it and eat it. As for other than that which has been mentioned, then لا يجوز. Now, وحرم عليكم الدم اللحم حرم عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل به لغير الله. In the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah it says حرم عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل به لغير الله. So those are the things that's been clearly mentioned that it's prohibited for a person to eat. So حيا says أن تصيد بأن تصيده وهو حي ثم بعد ذلك تطبخه بالماء وطبخه بالماء هو يغلي لا بأس به وإن كان الماء حارا لأنه لا سبيل لنا إلى الانتفاع به إلا بهذه الطريقة ولا يمكن أن نأخذ كل جرادة ونذكيها بل لا تجب تذكيتها لأنه ليس فيه دم يحتاج إلى إخراجه بالذكاء وما لا دم فيه فإنه ليس محتاجا إلى تذكية. So what's mentioned rather when it says حيا وميتا, يعني that jarad, the locust, is permissible whether it's dead or alive. i.e. when you slaughter something alive and you sacrifice it, of the things that you do is you drain the blood. But as for this type of insect, the blood doesn't flow. There's no flowing blood for you to have to drain. So it doesn't have to go through that process. Of the thing that's mentioned, so if you found a locust that is dead or locusts that are dead, you can eat them. However, it mentions if it has died because of some form of chemicals or the likes, then one should not eat it. If the result of dead locusts being found is because of some chemical that was spread or something, then one should avoid eating it because of the harm that may come. Because of the harm that may come. Other than this, if this is not the case, then one can eat it, no problem. And when it mentions وَالْجَرَادُ طَائِرٌ يُرْسِلُهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى رَحْمَةً وَيُرْسِلُهُ نِقْمَةً. That the jarad, they are something that Allah sends either as a rahmah, as a means of mercy, or as a means of punishment. As we know, this was of the ways that they were sent as punishment upon Fir'aun. Because what did they do? They will eat all the crops. All the harvest will be eaten in that manner. As Allah mentions, فَأَرْسَلْنَا عَلَيْهِمُ الطُّوفَانَ وَالْجَرَادَ وَالْقُمَّلَ وَالضَّفَادِعَ وَالدَّمَ وَآيَاتٍ مُفَصَّلَاتٍ. The ayat that refer to the different things, the punishments that Allah has sent upon Fir'aun and his people when they disbelieved in Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. And what's mentioned here, أرسل الله عليهم الجراد. Allah sent upon them locusts. And the punishment of that is what? يأكل الزروع. They will eat the crops. As for al-qummal, which is lice, they were also sent upon the people of Fir'aun lice. يفسد ما ادخر من الزروع. They would spoil anything that was stored of crops. So sometimes you find in certain wheat and flour that's stored, when you open it, you find lice. This is ifsad, you dash this away. Mufsad, and it's been spoiled. But imagine that this was sent as a punishment by Allah, everything was spoiled. No matter what you opened of stored food, it was filled with lice. The fadi' was mentioned. The frogs, what did they spoil? Tufsid al-ma. They will spoil the water. When the frogs were sent upon them as punishment, they will spoil the water. وَالدَّمْ يخرج من أبدانهم كالرعاف أو رعاف أو غيره حتى يفقدوا مصلحة الغذاء. It mentioned that the blood would come out of their bodies just like nosebleeds. Similar to nosebleeds in abundance, until they would lose the benefit of nutrition, the foods that they ate, because that's where if the nutrition is stored within one's blood. But the amount of blood they were losing, Allah punished them with nosebleeds and the likes, and loss of blood, that they were losing those nutritional benefits. Those nutritional benefits were lost. Al-ghidha. فالجراد يفسد الغذاء عند نباته والقمل يفسده عند ادخاره والضفادع تفسد المياه والدم يستنزف قوة البدن. So I mentioned in summary, in relation to what was sent upon Fir'aun, that al-jarad, the locust, would spoil the nutrients of the plants itself, i.e. whilst it's being harvested. The lice would destroy it when it's being stored. The frogs will despoil the water, and the blood will remove the strength of the body. The loss of blood led to the loss of strength of one's body. But al-muhim, as he mentioned, Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah, al-maytat al-jarad halalun. وقد يكون رحمة كما يحصل ولا سيما في الزمن السابق. نعم. For example, he said locusts, the dead of them are halal, and this may be a mercy, especially in places where you find great poverty, where they may not find anything to eat. But if they found locusts and the like, they're allowed, and they're dead, they can eat it, no problem. هذا من مصالح للفقراء. نعم. And some people, they like it. They say it's shahiyun tayyib. In some places it's desired. Some places they like it, they enjoy it. I remember in my travels when I was young, I would see my neighbors catching the likes of it, or from the same family, and then they'll fry it or whatever, and they would eat it. Me, myself, I haven't experienced that. It's an individual thing. You don't have to eat it because it's allowed. It's just if you did find it and you're in a state where you had nothing else, you could eat it. As for the next type of deceased is al-hut, the fish. هو كل ما يعيش في الماء والبحار سواء كان كبيرا أم صغيرا فإنه حلال حيه وميتته. فإذا وجدت البحر وقد لفظ حوتا ميتا فكله ولا بأس. وإذا أمسكته حيا وأرسلته في أي مكان حتى مات فهو حلال. نعم. دليل هذا من كتاب الله قول الله تعالى أحل لكم صيد البحر وطعامه متاعا لكم وللسيارة. وقال ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما صيد البحر وما أخذ حيا من الحوت وطعامه ما أخذ ميتا فلو وجدت على سيف البحر سمكا وحوتا كثيرا قد طفى فوق الماء فإنه لا حرج أن تأخذه وأن تأكله. So it mentions that when it comes to fish, anything that lives in the water and is known to live in the water, i.e. it's known from the things that live in the water constantly, whether it's in any water, in the ocean, rivers and the likes, but it lives in water, whether it's big or small, then it is halal, whether it's dead or alive. Now, so if you find the ocean and you found many fish on the shore or at the surface that have died, if it's not from some chemical poisoning or oil spill and the likes, then one can eat it. The only reason one shouldn't eat it in those situations is because of the potential harms that a person puts himself at risk of eating that which has fallen ill or died because of a chemical reaction and the likes. And the evidence is in the Quran that is whatever is sought from the hunted from the sea has been made lawful. It's food as a means of the provisions for you and those who travel and the likes, and whatever. And the statement of Ibn Abbas or the Anhuma that the hunting of the fishing of the ocean, the hunt of the ocean, and whatever is taken alive from the fish, and is food, and whatever is taken from it that is dead, is allowed. So if you find upon the sea, the top of the sea, the shore and just the surface of the sea, because most times when a fish dies, it raises to the surface. If you find this, then you can take that and eat it. It's no problem. You can take that fish and eat it with no problem. So it shows that the exception that has been given regarding that which is dead and that which is of blood. So regarding that which is dead, first and foremost, is locusts and fish. As for the two types of blood that Allah has made lawful is al-kabid wa tihal, which are known. And al-kabid, the liver, is a piece, basically like a thick clot of blood that has come together, and at-tihal is also something that is similar to the liver and will be found within the stomach or by the stomach, whereas the liver is by itself. The spleen usually comes attached to the stomach, the tihal, and as for the liver, then it's mustaqil, and it's by itself. And both of them are clots of blood, however they are halal, that Allah has permitted. Also, what's mentioned, like the Shaykh Uthaymeen mentions, no, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ جَمِيعَ مَا فِي الْبَحْرِ حَلَالٌ حَيُّهُ وَمَيِّتُهُ. Know that everything in the ocean is halal, that whether it's alive or dead. Also, سواء كان على شكل السباع, whether it's on, whether it looks like, sibaa is like lions and stuff, so whether it has the same kind of appearance as those kind of animals, or whether it looks like a wolf or other riding beasts, or even, for example, it looks like a person. No. If these things, well, no matter what it looks like, if it's from the inhabitants of water, i.e. they live in water, then it is halal. Whether alive or dead. Doesn't change anything. I used to have a thing, if I find it, it talks about like some other animals and stuff that you might find that are both land and sea. The ruling on them. If I find it, I'll share that benefit, inshallah. So the benefit of this hadith in al-asl في الميتة أنها حرام. The foundation in that which is deceased, carrion, is that it is haram. As Allah mentions, حرمت عليكم الميتة in Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse number 3. Now, as for those that live on in water and on land, then the hukum would be on that which is majority. Majority. But that's something I'm going to come back to, inshallah. Also, of the things that is to be understood, that is mentioned, that the blood that which is halal is also tahir, also pure. So you wouldn't say the liver and the spleen of that which is lawful to eat is impure. Is impure. And also what's mentioned, when it comes to blood, you have blood is either tahir or najis. It's either pure or impure. فضابط الدم الطاهر كل ما ميتته طاهرة وعلى هذا فدم الحوت طاهر. It mentioned, as for the principle of whatever blood is lawful or is not is pure, every carrion that is pure, such as locust, fish, these types of carrion, if they're lawful, then their blood is also pure. The blood is not najis. So for that reason, the blood of the fish is something that is pure. It's not impure. And he mentioned, for example, this is every thing that is dead, that is pure, then their blood is also pure, except for mankind. They say except for Bani Adam. They say because mankind is not impure. They say, Jamhur ulama, majority of the scholars are of the opinion that the blood of mankind is impure. However, that which is a small amount of it, that has not passed by the private passages, is excused. But Shaykh Uthaymeen, he mentions, نحن نقول, we say, دم الآدمي, the blood of humans, اختلف العلماء فيه رحمهم الله. Scholars of the past, they have differed regarding it. From them are those who say that it is najis, لكن ما خرج من غير سبيلين يعفى عن يسيره. They say from them are those who say it's impure. However, whatever comes out of the body but not from the private parts is excused. وما خرج من السبيلين, whatever comes from the private parts, فإنه لا يعفى عنه, As for what comes from the private parts, then it's not excused, it's impure. ومنهم من يقول إنه طاهر إلا ما خرج من السبيلين فإنه نجس لا يعفى عنه. They say, and they have those who say the blood of the mankind is pure except for that which comes from the private parts, then that is impure and it's not excused. That's of the things that are mentioned. As for what he says is most correct, he says the most correct thing, على كل حال القول بطهارة دم الآدمي الصح إلا ما خرج من السبيلين لكن من باب الاحتياط ومراعاة خلاف أكثر العلماء ينبغي للإنسان أن يغسل الدم إذا أصاب ثوبه أو أصاب بدنه احتياطا واتباعا لأكثر أهل العلم. أما من حيث نظري فليس في السنة ما يدل على أن دم الآدمي نجس إلا ما خرج من السبيلين وهو أيضا أي القول بطهارة دم الآدمي القول الموافق للقياس لأن أعلى ما نقول إن الدم جزء من أجزاء الآدمي وأجزاء الآدمي طاهرة فيكون دمه طاهرا. He mentioned, regardless of all situations that we have mentioned, what is most correct is that mankind's blood is pure, except for that which comes from the private parts. However, as a means of safeguarding oneself and observing the difference regarding majority of the scholars saying otherwise, then one should wash the blood if it affects their clothing, their body, as a means of precaution and following majority of the scholars, majority of the people of knowledge. As for in terms of the aspect of looking at the matter properly, then there's no evidence in the Sunnah to state that the blood of mankind is impure except for that which comes from the private parts, except for that which comes out of the private parts. And he says, وَأَمَّا بَقِيَّةُ الدِّمَاء, as for all the other bloods, الأخرى, فَدَمُ مَا لَا يُؤْكَلُ نَجِسٌ قَلِيلُهُ وَكَثِيرُهُ. As for the blood of that which is not eaten, then the small of it and the large of it is najis. The little amount and the large amount is najis. وَلَا يُسْتَثْنَى مِنْهُ شَيْء, and nothing is exempt from this. For example, الكلب والهر, the dog and the cat, والفأرة, the rat, and other than this. فدماء هذه كلها نجسة ولا يعفى عن شيء منها لأن ميتتها نجسة. نعم فكذلك دماؤها. So it mentions nothing is excused from this because the carrion of that is najis, is impure. So also the blood is najis, impure. It's alright. So it's like that's another condition. Anything that's not eaten because their meat is dead, is deceased, is impure. As for the blood of that which is eaten, it's also najis. However, the small amount of it is excused. Now, if it comes during the time of life, at the time of life. Now, so let's say a small amount of blood came on you from something that was permissible to be eaten, like a cow, camel, sheep, whatever, chicken. This is not a small amount of that blood is not going to be considered to be impure. A lot of it would be considered impure. You'll be excused from the small amount because the qaida al-yasir ma'fu an, the small amounts of something, they are pardoned.
So does that mean you need to do ghusl after?
La, not ghusl. Wash the area. Ghusl is different. But washing the area that the blood touched, you wash that area. No. So let's say the dog yani, got hit by a bus, waliyadu billah, but the blood splattered on you. You'd have to wash that blood off. You don't have to make ghusl, it doesn't break your wudu, but you have to wash that blood off. That blood is impure. Because when it comes to salah, for example, you have to have izalatul najasa. You have to remove the impurity. You have to remove the impurity. Now,
You said whatever yasir or huge, all.
يعني في ما لا يؤكل
أي
يعني قليله وكثيره نجس. أما ما يؤكل فقليله يعفى عنه.
الدجاج.
نعم.
أوكي.
We'll stop here today, inshallah. As I said, we stop 2:30, inshallah, today. Normally we can go until about 3 o'clock. If anyone ever has to leave, you don't worry, you can just excuse yourself, inshallah. I just have to prepare for a meeting, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. If anyone's not in the group, the sisters class, the new Telegram group that you can message in and message questions, then join, inshallah. You might have to give your number to one of the sisters in there that they can add you, because there's no invitation link, because it's a channel instead of a group, or it's a group instead of a channel, sorry, where it's a bit different, where everyone can message in, inshallah. Any questions?
Sorry. You know the ayah with the ولحم الخنزير, what does it mean?
So it mentions the things that had been prohibited from you was blood, which means that the blood of the dead animals, the blood. Al-lahm al-khinzir is swine, pork, and that which was slaughtered for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And one more thing. The people of Fir'aun, what did they eat that made them like lose blood and stuff?
No, this was a punishment that was sent upon them. 5 things that Allah punished them with. The flood, and blood, and what was the other thing again? Locusts. So you had the flood, you had the locusts, you had lice, you had the blood, and frogs, yeah. And each time they said to Moses, call upon Allah to relieve us from this, and we'll believe, and they never believed. No.
أنا في التليجرام نسيت هذا الدرس في التليجرام صح؟
نعم
يعني إذا تكنسل أو تعمل كونفيرم يجيني الخبر بالتليجرام اللي أنا داخله معاك فيه من قبل.
لكن I made a new one. And I sent in the old one to join the new one.
أنا دخلني
No.
ما عاد عندي حد دخلني.
Now, if you're on Telegram, you should have seen that I put before to join the new one.
عشان ما طلعتني وأنا غافلة لي يلا.
No, but جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم.